Okay, that should cover this. This should about cover this. You still have all the options you have in Sampler, and in Simpler you have also options, just fewer options, but they're there. So you can also still do all this crazy filtering stuff. I mean, you can do filtering of your synth afterwards, after the recording of your awesome analog synth sound. Okay, let's go one step back last time, and then I'm finished, I promise. What I want to talk about is this audio file here. Let's take this one, it's nicer to look at. Remember, when we went in here and said slice to new MIDI track, what we chose here was the transients. Okay? You can also choose bar, you can choose half note, quarter note, eighth note, and so on. Now, you will probably not need those, because you will have recorded it, basically we recorded 4 bars was 1 note. Okay, so all these settings will not help us. That is bar, I get 24 slices, when in reality it is just 12 slices. Okay, because every note was 2 bars, not 4, sorry. So those settings don't work. Transient will actually detect the transients here, and when you move your mouse around here, you see that you have to close this window first, sorry. You move your mouse around and you see, bam, there is a warp marker or a pseudo warp marker popping up. Why? Well, because Live did detect a transient here. This is not because here is a bar. Let's zoom in. And you can actually see this triangle here showing you where Live thinks the transient is. This is not where we know it starts, because we triggered it here. Live thinks the transient is here. Now, if you're very correct about this, you don't want to use, in the MIDI slash to MIDI, you don't want to use the transient setting. Okay, sometimes it will trigger at the 4th positions. So what you can actually do is you can create warp markers. Oh, I'm sorry. Not sure what that was. Just give me a second here. Ah, okay, never mind. Okay, you see there is already one warp marker at the beginning. What I do is I delete this warp marker. I cannot delete it. Ah, I hate this. As you might notice, I'm not working with Live that often. Okay, what you can do is if you move the mouse here, you will actually create the warp marker at the detected transient. Okay. If you go here with your mouse and click there, you will jump from bar to bar. So if I go here, I can say insert warp marker, and now this warp marker will be exactly on the beat, not on the transient. Okay? And you can just go through the entire clip, and let's see, it's Control I, so make this a little bit faster, and I mean, you can see this is not very annoying task. One thing to keep in mind is delete the first warp marker. You have to have basically one less warp marker than you have samples. It makes sense, trust me. And if I go in here, slice to new MIDI track, I can now choose warp markers, and you see it will create 12 slices. The exact same 12 slices we had before. And if I would have chosen the actual sampler preset and not the integrated preset, I would have gotten a sampler and not, as you can see here, a drum kit, which is not what you want. Okay, let me think, did I forgot anything? I don't think so, actually. Maybe one additional thought here. This is of course very clean, okay? Now let's say you actually have an instrument with no MIDI input. Those are supposed to exist. If you do have an instrument with no MIDI input, you have to do this by hand, okay? Which means you have to sit down with your instrument and play one note at a time and record all of that. Everything else from there is basically the same procedure as here. I mean, you can let the metronome clicking giving you the beat, but in that case, when you use an instrument, I would actually probably use the transient detection to give me a good feel where the marker should be, and it will probably be very good. Okay, good. I guess this about wraps it up. Yeah, I think there's nothing else to add to this tutorial. One last thought, I promise. This is a very simple way to do this, of doing this, okay? Why? There are a few things you cannot capture with this technique. You don't capture the actual note of information, okay? That is not there at all. You only capture one note ringing out. The other thing is, if you have actual envelopes in your synth, or if your synth basically, if it's like a pad-like sound, okay, or a string sound, this will get a little bit more complicated, because how should I put this? Let's say you take a string sound and you record 5 seconds of it, okay? But now you want to play it back, and all of a sudden you need 7 seconds of a continuous string sound, but you only have 5. This means you have to loop it at some point. Now you can do this in the sampler, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure you can. Let's go back into the sampler. Here. You can actually create loops in here, I think. But let me check that again and maybe make another tutorial where I cover this. Just want to make you aware that what you do here is capture just this. So the idea behind this is perfect for how should I put this? For every sound with a clear transient. Okay, with a clear envelope going down here. If it is a standing note, this will not work. You will have to do something differently. But I will cover that in the next tutorial probably. I have to figure it out myself. Don't capture that. Yeah, whatever. If you have anything to add to this, or even better, if you have ideas for other tutorials, stuff that maybe is not yet covered on YouTube, and a lot of stuff is covered on YouTube. But if you have something, you say, how could I do this? Just write it down in the comments, and I will read all of them, or I don't know, all the 4 or 5 of them that I will get. I will read them, and if there is a tutorial request and I actually know how to do what you want to know how to do, I will make a tutorial and explain it. Okay, so this is it for me for now. Hope you liked this tutorial, hope you learned something. If you have questions, ask in the comments. If you have suggestions, put them in the comments. Besides of that, I wish you a nice day, morning, probably, I don't know, probably night, because because most of the people who viewed my last tutorial were from the US. So greetings to you over there from Austria, actually. So yeah, I wish you well. See you next time.